Stack and tilt for beginner golfers. This will be fun. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Jess Frank. I'm a PGA teaching professional. Been teaching this game for over 20 years. Love it. Love helping golfers, especially beginner golfers who come to me for golf lessons. And I have an easy, simple, systematic way of making golfers, making people, new beginners, into golfers pretty quickly. And so I'm going to take you through a little rundown of how I go about working with beginner golfers and helping them learn the big pieces to stack and tilt and to shaping their golf swing pretty quickly and letting them be able to hit the ball immediately. So if you're a beginner golfer, even if you're a newer player who plays a little bit and still needs some help with their game, I think this video is really going to help you. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please comment, please subscribe. It only helps to grow my channel. So beginner golfers, what do we do? Well, the first thing we have to do is definitely get your hands on the club correctly. I see so many golfers that come to me that have, they take their grip and their hands are upside, basically their palms are facing the sky. And this is something that can really kind of hamper your beginning stages because it's the only thing that connects you to the club. So take your time with the grip. Mainly, I've got a lot of grip videos out there, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time working on the grip, but the main thing is get the club in the fingers of your left hand, get the heel pad on top, get this little hinge pin, or as they call snuff box, on the right side part of the shaft over here, and then your trail hand, you can just take it right down the shaft here in the fingers, cover your left thumb here, cover your left thumb with the palm. So now you have a little bit more of a stronger grip, which means that the V's are pointing to my right shoulder or right cheek. So that's the kind of the beginning stages of the grip. Then we're going to go into setup. Setup is super important for stack and tilt. I see so many people when they get there, their hands are back, their hips are back, and all this does is make them cut across the ball. So it looks like this. So they're cutting across the ball when they do this, okay? So that's something that we don't want to do either. So for sure, we want you to get in the proper setup. And how do we do that? Is that when we set up to the ball, we're going to feel as if we're going to have our hips a little more forward. We're going to have our weight a little bit more on our front foot. So this is going to be really important in the setup. So, again, so you have grip, you have the setup. So I see a lot of golfers who come to me with their weight back, their shoulders open, and all this is doing is creating a leftward path. So if we put more weight on the front, get the hips a little bit more to the front so you can see the difference. Here's the beginner. Here's where I want you. The next thing is that the hands are going to be a little more forward at address. So this is going to also keep the bottom of the swing forward. So this is very important for you for hitting the ball first, then the turf. And this is something that beginner golfers really struggle with. And a lot of newer golfers struggle with, and it's the number one fundamental in the system, is that you're going to hit the ball then the turf. So you're always hitting the ground in the same spot every time. So you're controlling what's called the radius of your swing, or the arc of your swing. And so we're going to get into also how we do that. But the first part of this is going to be, again, set up. The weight's going to be a little bit more on our front foot. So weight forward. Okay, so that's super, super important. What the grip also does is kind of get back to that, is it helps you hinge the club correctly. Okay, so when you hinge the club correctly, that puts the club in a very light position here. So as I swing back and I hinge the club correctly, now it's going to be very light. What happens is a lot of people, when they swing the club back, they swing it too far inside and it gets very heavy, and then they come over the top. So there's a lot of things going on there. So that's why the grip is so important right away, because it's going to set you up immediately into a good golf swing. So again, so we're going to go set up, we're going to go weight forward a little bit, and then we're going to have our hips a little more forward. We're going to have the hands a little bit more forward, and that's going to get you in a really good position right away. So that's super, super important that we do that, okay? So then the next piece, again, we're shaping the beginner golfer, which we want to shape the big pieces first. We want to start, if we start with a big block of stone, we want to start, chiseling away and getting all the big pieces started first. We don't want to just tap away at it because that'll take forever. So we want to go for the, hitting the stone, creating the golf swing right away. So the next step we're going to have is we're going to go for, now we have weight forward, we have the hands a little bit more ahead, is we're going to take the left shoulder and tilt it to the ground. So you can see as my left shoulder tilts to the ground, you can see how my hands, how the hinging works and how I start to get the club to go up. Okay, so I can do it this way here. So as I'm hinging, now you can see where the club is here. So the club is actually going more up that way. So that's super important like that, okay? So that's really, really important. So shoulder down is the next piece. So weight forward, shoulder down, like this here, okay? Really important. All right, that's huge for the backswing because what it also does, it also affects you because I see so many people when they swing, they shift too much to the right. They've been told to shift their weight back, so they start shifting their weight back, and then they can hit behind it. So that's again, not what we want to do. We want to stay very centered. We want to stay stacked over our feet. We don't want to ever have ourselves leaning way to the right. So you can see this here is that I've got enough turn, I've got enough tilt, I've got enough extension. I actually do have weight into my right foot too, but I'm doing that without swaying over there. So that's important. That's important to know. You're probably going to feel a little bit more centered, less weight shift, which is good for you because normally a beginning golfer shifts their weight too much. Okay, so the next step is going to be what's called, so as I get into the setup, weight forward, shoulder down. So as I go shoulder down, you can see how my hands start to work around my body here. So you can see as my hands work around my body, my hands aren't going straight back. This is something that they're told, beginner golfers, newer golfers are told a lot, and that's why they struggle. Swing the club head down the target line as far as you can go. Wrong. You want to have the hands in. So as you go, you can see how my hands are working on an arc. So they're going around my body because we're to the side of the ball. So they're going around my body. And the club's going to go up as I tilt my shoulder down. So now I have a really good looking backswing here, left arm across the shoulders. I'm supported by the right arm. So just some really good big pieces here. Have some nice tilt, some nice extension, plenty of turn. You can see how I've turned my chest towards the camera, my back to the target. I'll go this way. So as my hands go in, you can see I've got plenty of back to the target. Okay, shoulder down, weight forward, shoulder down, hands in. Okay, now one of the biggest things for newer golfers, and this goes to all the way up to to people who play all the time that are 10, 15, 20 handicaps, is radius management. And what that means is that we're going to keep our arms a lot straighter going through the ball. This is what I see mostly on my lesson tee. I see people when they swing back, they're okay, and then all of a sudden their arms start to pull together. Their club head, the butt of the club gets very close to their body. They're slicing across the ball, mainly because they're coming outside in and probably have a club face issue. But other than that, it's their hands and arms are coming in. So as I do this, so I've got weight forward, hands in, shoulder down, hands in. I'm going to, as I transition back to, so you can see I've got my weight forward. Now I'm going to go arms straight. So you can see this here, arms straight. When I do this, a great checkpoint is the butt of the club should be at least 12 inches, somewhere in that 10 to 12 inches away from my belt buckle here. So you can see like this, arms straight. So arms straight, and you can see how this club traces an arc back up It does not swing out or down the target line. So that's super important. So arms straight is a huge part of it. Okay, and the last piece to make you go all the way up is to tuck your hips underneath you. And so basically what it is meaning that your belt buckle is going to be closer to the target than your upper body. Okay, so as you swing through, boom, like this here. So as we go forward, tuck in the hips. You can see is that my belt buckle is closer to the target than my head. And also I like to keep my arms a little straighter too. So that will help as well. So here is a drill to like blend it all together for you to make you start at the end of the swing. So I always like to take beginner golfers and start them over here in the finish.